Hi, and welcome to Beat Diabetes. Today we're going to look at two different kinds of advice you get from two different kinds of nutritionists about diabetes. One will slow down your rate of destruction, but the other advice will reverse it. I just wanted to remind you that I do have another channel. It's called by my name, Dennis Pollock, and on this channel I also upload talks and lectures, but in this case I share insights from the Bible. If the Bible has mystified you and you can't seem to figure it out, watching some of these talks, which I call video devotionals, might help you. My Beat Diabetes channel is all about finding victory in the physical realm, but the Dennis Pollock channel is about finding victory in the realm of the spirit. All right, well, let's go on. This person says, 3 years ago, I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. Since then, I've listened to a nutritionist. Their suggestion was to pack on the carbs, or you might say load up on the carbs. He says, I've done nothing but struggle to control my A1C following that advice. About 5 weeks ago, my doctor tested me. My A1C was now at 7.6, or was then at 7.6. So he went from pre-diabetic to diabetic for sure. 7.6 is well into the diabetic range. And he'd been following a nutritionist's advice to eat plenty of carbs, just make them healthy carbs. That's what so many will tell you. We would never tell you to eat nasty carbs. We're not telling you to eat ding-dongs and Twinkies and moon pies. We're telling you to eat oatmeal and quinoa and whole wheat bread and brown rice and lots of fruit by all means. So he was trying to be a good little boy and pack in the carbs and struggling, and it's going up, and now he's not pre-diabetic, he's diabetic, 7.6. His doctor told him that you're not in dire straits yet, but you're on the way. You're getting close. We're going to have to start talking about insulin shots if your A1C goes up much higher. And if that doesn't scare you, so many people are scared. Really, taking insulin shots is not the worst thing in the world, but most people don't need to. Most type 2s don't need it. And you'll have to talk to your doctor about that. Type 1s definitely need to take insulin, and there's nothing to be afraid about taking insulin shots. Most type 2s don't. Anyway, he was told you're going to have to take insulin if it keeps on going up. He said, I knew it was time to stop listening to my nutritionist, and I really started to research what I should be eating. I decided keto probably wasn't quite right for me, but a low-carb diet seemed like it was about right. I learned how to make low-carb pizza, one of my favorites, and we've got a video about that. Low-carb sushi. I've never been into sushi. Low-carb spaghetti, low-carb Spanish rice, low-carb everything. I did not stop eating the things I love. I learned how to make them low-carb. And so much of that is absolutely right. There's so many things that you love that you don't have to exactly give up. You just have to modify and make some version of them that's going to be low carb. 1 month after testing at 7.6 and switching to this low carb diet, I had lost 15 pounds. I lowered my A1C by 1.4. Well, that's just 1 month. So chances are it's significantly lower than that by the time you give yourself 3 months. When the doctor tested me last week, my A1C had dropped to 6.2. For the first time in 3 years, we're not looking at insulin or medication. We're looking at a complete reversal of my type 2 diabetes based on diet. Underscore those 3 words, based on diet. And if there's one thing this channel has stood for, it is beating diabetes based on the foods that you put into your mouth. And chances are every one of you listening to me is not being fed by somebody. You're putting that food in your own mouth. Nor do you have somebody standing over you with a club ready to beat you senseless if you eat the wrong foods. The thing is totally voluntary. You're eating the foods you want to eat. You're eating the foods you choose to eat. And what we're saying and what this guy is saying is I found I could see victory and complete reversal of my type 2 diabetes based on diet. Those 3 words, don't forget them. Based on diet, based on the things I eat and the things I refuse to eat. He says low carb works. You can eat so, and he has a bunch of O's after the S, so not just so, but so many foods on a low-carb diet. Yes, you can. I said it before, there's never been a better time to be eating low-carb because there are so many choices and so many options and so many recipes and so many YouTube channels and so many YouTube or keto recipes, various foods that are available. It's all the stuff is there for you to not just beat diabetes, but have a good time doing it and eat well doing it. He says, I'll never look back at a regular carb-filled diet. Why would I? Good question. I never feel hungry. Many of the recipes I've learned taste better in their low-carb form. This low-carb diet is saving my life. Amen to that. It has saved my life. I don't know if I would be dead by now. Keep in mind that I've been doing the low-carb thing for almost 20 years. And I just have a feeling that I'd be in serious trouble. In fact, I'm just convinced of it totally. It's more than a feeling. I'm convinced I'd be in serious trouble because I was following the exact way of my mother. And by the time she was my age, she was having problems. She was going through a lot of serious stuff and running in and out of the hospital almost every year, some new procedure, angioplasty, stents, bypass surgeries, trying to save her legs, and eventually she couldn't, and the doctor could not save her legs. I would be going down that same route, but instead I'm not. I don't go to the hospital. I don't go to the doctor much. If I do, it's just for simple things. I'm doing well. Now I'm still in my 60s. I'm 68, so I've got a ways to go before I hit the place where I think, well, okay, well, I've pretty much won this game. And to me, that's the magic number is 80. Other people may have different numbers, but if I can reach 80 in good health, I think I'm doing pretty well. I just feel like in many cases, some nutritionists, not all, but in many cases, nutritionists will give you what it takes to slightly improve your situation. If you're eating the standard diet and you're eating a lot of really bad foods, sugar-filled foods, eating sugar-frosted flakes and Cocoa Puffs and moon pies and having big old desserts every night, and your nutritionist says, now you got to slow down on that. And by the way, instead of eating white rice, eat brown rice, and be sure and eat fruits rather than moon pies. Well, that's going to improve things somewhat. It won't reverse it. It will slow down your rate of deterioration. And that's about the best you can hope for if all you're going to do is change from white bread to whole wheat bread and from white rice to brown rice and from white potatoes to sweet potatoes. If that's the extent of your improvement of your diet, you will slow it down probably, but you won't reverse it. It's kind of like being on a river in a rowboat that's headed for a waterfall where you will surely go over the waterfall and crash and die on the rocks below. And the water's carrying you with a strong current, let's say 20 miles an hour. And someone says, well, here's a couple paddles. Let's paddle and try to paddle our way back upstream. But you don't have the strength to paddle your way upstream. So by paddling and trying to go upstream, you've slowed down how fast you're approaching the waterfall. You're not going 20 miles an hour toward the waterfall anymore. Now you're only going 10 miles an hour. The destination is still exactly the same, but you'll get there a little slower. And some of the advice that you hear, as I mentioned, go for the more natural foods, give up on the Cocoa Puffs and sugar-frosted flakes and the moon pies. That'll slow things down for you if you've been eating a totally bad diet. It will slow things down. It's better than not doing anything at all, but you're still headed for the waterfall. And the only way to change that is to get radical about the carbohydrates you allow yourself to eat every day and throw in some time-restricted eating and cut your window of eating down to about 6 hours or 8 at the most. And then it's like you're not going downstream anymore. It's like someone came along and put a powerful motor on the back of your boat, and now you've turned that thing around and you're going upstream 20 miles an hour instead of going downstream 20 miles an hour. So that's what we need. Just to slow your rate of destruction isn't good enough. I mean, imagine if you get on a plane and the plane takes off and the pilot says, well, we've just realized that our plane is going to crash. We don't have enough fuel to get us to our destination. But if I slow the plane down and we don't fly it so fast, we can stay up in the air 2 extra hours longer. But we'll still crash. Or we could just land now and then we'll be safe. I don't know about you. I'd vote for let's land now. I don't want 2 extra hours. I want to be safe. I don't want to die in a plane crash. And so that's kind of how it is with some of the standard advice you get. It will slow things down for you a little bit, but it's not going to stop your gradual problems with diabetes, the complications.